Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of F122 Driver Career Mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. The summer break is over in the middle of winter here in Canada in the F1 scene, but we are ready to get rolling for the final part of the season, kicking things off here in Belgium for the Belgian Grand Prix, of course, at Spa. I'm very excited for this one, a track that I really enjoy driving, a track that it took me a while to kind of enjoy, but I've definitely enjoyed it in recent years. In terms of a driving perspective. We are currently at 27 points, fresh off of a really rough exit on the summer break. Going into it, we were 15th and 17th between myself and Schumacher. Mick actually had a spin. He was putting up a pretty good pace in Hungary, but obviously things didn't work out for either of us in that Grand Prix. Some upgrades coming in with the team and whatnot. We of course have the news that Haas is out. Penske Porsche is coming in to buy out this Haas F1 team at the conclusion of the season. So now things are even more important for myself to be able to put up good results. We have more points than Schumacher. We've really been able to outperform him at certain points in the season, but as well at other points in the season, he's really outperformed me. The only difference is we just have more points. Great way to start off practice, by the way. 12-minute repair time for a fault there. But anyways, you know, there's a lot of work still to be done, and we need to continue to try and impress not only Penske, who's going to be watching over us, Roger Penske, who's iconic in the motorsport world with NASCAR, with his team, with Brian Blaney, Brad Keselowski, who of course won championships for him in the Cup Series, went on to his own team with RFK, but he's had Joey Logano win him NASCAR Cup Series championships 2 times now in 2018 as well as 2022 most recently. Then you look at his IndyCar team, so successful as well. Will Power winning the IndyCar championships, and he's just got such an incredible just kind of staple in motorsports, V8 supercars, you name it. He's been a part of it, and as well, they've been in Formula 1, so they're coming back to Formula 1, and I'm very curious to see if they're going to want to keep myself and Schumacher on the team, or are we going to get the boot? I really don't know how much of a fresh start that they want to come in with this buyout of the Haas F1 team. You see the practice results. Unfortunately, as we head into qualifying, I didn't get many replay cameras for this race because I accidentally hit the advance button as soon as I got into the race results, so we will deal with that, of course, later, but there is still some replay cameras that I got in race during the Grand Prix, as well as the highlights feature in like that broadcast mode that you can access after a Grand Prix. But you can see I actually had to replace a couple of components here in Q1. I forgot to do this between practice and qualifying, so I had to do it in Q1 before I hit the actual track so I don't get a grid penalty. So I swapped out a couple of parts here, and then we'll get back on circuit, but I only had time for one lap. There was 30 seconds remaining in the session by the time I actually got out on the track, and you can see already in the top left of your screen, Mick Schumacher is currently the first car out. He is P16 right now, around for his final lap. We'll see if he can improve, but I was a bit surprised by that because I felt like through practice there was a lot more pace in this Haas than P16, so I was very baffled to see him so far off the mark, but you can see myself abusing track limits a little bit there. It is kind of forgiving here in Spa. You can get away with a little bit more on strict, and let me know if I should continue running strict or should I move it to regular. Like, look at this. Even on strict, I got away with that. They are pretty lenient here when it comes to this circuit. And when they're lenient, of course, I'm going to take as much advantage as I possibly can. But through the final chicane, down the front straightaway, it's going to be a very, very solid lap for myself. We're into the top 10. Schumacher does not improve. Schumacher is out in Q1. He's all the way down there in P17, out in Q1. Very embarrassing, I would say. I mean, like I said, I was shocked by that because I would say our car is probably a 11th, 12th place car and probably race pace. Qualifying, I was just really stepping up the bar way more than I was anticipating, but we come through into now Q2, only going to be able to put in one lap again. That's what I felt like I needed, so I really wasn't focusing in on making a second lap, as long as I don't screw up this lap, of course. But the first attempt in Q2 went pretty well, actually, so things were looking pretty good through the final chicane again, and we were actually potentially looking at Q3 here in Spa. We crossed the line again. It's P7 for the time being. Would it stick? Yes, it would. P9. Hamilton just barely makes it in P10. So we have a shot here at pole. Well, obviously we're not going to be in the mix for the pole. Usually when we've made it to Q3 this season here with Haas, we kind of get a reality check in the third qualifying effort, and that would kind of be the same vibe here. Again, you can already see an engine icon on the screen, and I'm not going to make any changes. I'm going to run the whole Grand Prix with that and risk it because I don't want to take a grid penalty here. So yeah, it is what it is. Very lenient again on the track limits there. You saw myself going a bit aggressive again, but through the final chicane, it was overall a pretty decent lap, but it's still, like I said, we got a reality check. We were the slowest one of Q3, and we qualify P10. 1.9 seconds off Verstappen and Russell, P1, P2, Hamilton P7, who I hear might be taking a grid penalty. Carlos Sainz all the way down in P9. We have a heck of a grid. The championship battle continues to heat up between Verstappen and Hamilton, but Verstappen has the upper edge going into the Belgian Grand Prix. Let's head to the grid.
We're in Belgium once again for today's round of the Formula One World Championship. It's a race that the great Ayrton Senna won 6 times, and in 2019, Charles Leclerc became the first driver to take their maiden win here since Michael Schumacher back in 1992. Spa-Francorchamps then, a historic 19-corner circuit with a lap distance of 4.35 miles. There's over 100 meters of elevation change here, and with long stretches of the lap spent flat out, a good top speed will be vital for success. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Norris, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso and Sainz, Golden Boy, Ocon, Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda, Perez, Vettel, Valtteri Bottas and Mick Schumacher, Hamilton, Stroll, Daniel Ricciardo and Alex Albon, Latifi and Guan Yu Zhou. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. A warm welcome to Anthony Davidson, who's beside me in the commentary box today. So, let's briefly discuss Lewis Hamilton. As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to power unit component changes. It's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
Well, there we have it. Lewis Hamilton, grid penalty. We're ready to go. Lights out here. It's a medium to hard compound tire strategy. And yeah, that's straightforward. Let's head to the formation lap.
The formation lap gets underway, and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure that their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out. Towards the grid to line up for the start of the race, each driver will be wanting to get the best start they possibly can, and they'll be hoping to finish today's race on the podium, failing that, within the points.
Alright everybody, let's do the best we can here today. A bit surprising the difference between myself and Mick in qualifying, but hopefully you can have a good run as well. Let's get some points. There, you hear myself on the radio to the team. We are ready to go. Lights out in this number 99 Haas machine for its final Belgian Grand Prix before Penske, of course, takes over next season with Porsche coming in to fund that as well. You see the front row, it's Verstappen as well as George Russell. Hamilton with the grid penalty. What is he going to be able to do here on the grid? A couple of drivers with grid penalties, of course, not just him, but it's going to be 5 red lights and it's going to be lights out, and we are underway. They held us for an extra moment there. It's a bit of a scrappy start for myself, a sloppy one. Ocon's gonna get past us, and so is Pierre Gasly into turn 1. Now dive it back up the inside. We're 3 wide actually with the 2 AlphaTauri drivers, and we've been getting so well along with Pierre Gasly lately here in this F1 career mode. But you can see the Red Bull of Sergio Perez, another driver with a grid penalty just behind myself. He's side by side with 4-time world champion of Sebastian Vettel now as they continue up through Eau Rouge, but we're now down the long straightaway and Tsunoda immediately is going to look to the right side of Pierre Gasly. Gasly defends, Tsunoda looks back left. They're going to go side by side here into the right-hander. This is exactly what you like to see if you're the car behind, and oh my goodness, I nearly run into the back of Tsunoda there, but you can see he's really struggling for grip right off the bat, so I'm going to send one up the inside here into the long sweeping right-hander. Actually lock up, nearly make contact with Tsunoda, but fortunately we keep it clean, and we move up into P9 already. So now we set our sights on Pierre Gasly after the first half of this lap, and it was Max Verstappen out in front, actually a McLaren that had actually gotten up to second in front of George Russell. So George Russell, a bit of a rough start to this Grand Prix for him, as Mercedes continues to try and put that fight to Max Verstappen, but Verstappen with a perfect start, it's going to be hard to beat him now, especially Hamilton, kind of the main guy that Mercedes is pushing towards him, and he is struggling already. He's still behind myself as we came to lap 3 now, as we're starting to slowly close this gap to Pierre Gasly. We were about to be within DRS range, and we had Tsunoda still within half a second of us. Perez not really going anywhere either. He's still down in P11. I would have expected him to already be past me. Not the case, however. Now as we come through to lap 4, you can see now well within DRS range. Yellow flags behind, and I didn't get a good clip of this because I thought I'd get a good replay clip later, but it was Lewis Hamilton who had gone spinning in turn 1 all on his own. A lonesome spin right there, and his day goes from bad to worse with the grid penalty. Now he has got major issues here in Spa, and that is not good for the championship. Fortunately, still quite a few races left in the season, but running out of time very, very quick here. Now, as you can see, Gasly putting the fight to Lando Norris. Contact right there, maybe some wing damage on the AlphaTauri, but I'm going to attack. DRS activated. We're going to get easily clear of the AlphaTauri. Now, I'm going to send one on the inside of Lando Norris, who was at 1 point, second place very recently in this Grand Prix, seems to be fading. Clearly, something's going on there with the McLaren. Gasly, I can confirm, picked up some wing damage at some point in the middle of that, and he would actually have to come into the pit lane at the conclusion of this lap. So he, and as well an Alfa Romeo had come in, and I believe it was Valtteri Bottas, if I'm not mistaken. But you can see myself now settling into P7. A great run we're having. Of course, it helps with drivers having issues, as well as grid penalties being handed out is certainly a nice addition to help myself out. But Perez now up into P8, 2.5 seconds behind myself. As you can see, look on the right side here on lap 10. Fuel is going to be close, so I thought we were going to be fine, but I had kind of underfueled the car a bit, so we're going to actually have to save a little bit of fuel now, as lap 10 was also our scheduled pit stop. So we're coming in already to put on the hard compound tire, but this first part of the race is absolutely flown by now as we head down into the long, or actually the quick, short little stretch into the pit lane. Nonetheless, coming in to put on those hard compound tires. Our teammate Mick Schumacher, he has not really been going anywhere in this Grand Prix. He's just kind of started and just kind of stayed where he's been at. But you can see Leclerc coming out right there in front of us from his pit box. The hard compound tire goes on. Very solid stop from the team. No issues there. Very rare to see pit errors, I've noticed here in this game, but it's not often you see them for each team in real life either now as we come back out on the track. So hard compound tires on. Let's get rolling here. Now you can see at the end of lap 11, our teammate Mick Schumacher now heads into the pit lane, so we're easily going to get ahead of him as well. Perez, I was curious to see where he would cycle up, and he would actually get out in front of us here. So not surprising to exactly see that the Red Bull just got downright more pace than myself. Our tires would be heated up quicker than him, but still didn't have quite enough effort for him. As you can see behind us now, the McLaren duo of Daniel Ricciardo as well as Lando Norris, and to my surprise, Ricciardo was starting to really close in on me, and so was Norris. Now Norris way further back behind, 6.8 seconds, but look at the struggles all of a sudden I'm starting to have with some grip here. But nonetheless, you can see lap 15 of 22, running out of time here, a little bit more cloud cover late in this Grand Prix, and the gap was still closing between myself and Ricciardo. Max Verstappen had a massive gap between himself in second place of Charles Leclerc. George Russell just behind, but you can see now as we come through the long straightaway with the DRS, Ricciardo is getting closer and closer, might even be close enough to make a move here. Even with overtake on, he is closing, and up the inside inside the Australian is going to go as we're side by side through the left-hander. I thought he was going to run me out of room there, but we continue. We're going to back out, do a little bit of a switchback on the Australian. Continue side by side. It's not often we continue to try and fight it out here with these drivers, but as we continue to gain more experience as a rookie, I want to be able to scrap it out more with these guys, and we do just that, but unfortunately it was short-lived because Ricardo, seconds later, finds back up the inside. A very, very brave move there. Old Daniel Ricciardo's back with a move like that. Up at a P7 he goes. I could send it into this corner, but I just feel like that wouldn't be a very smart thing to do. And unfortunately after that, well, he would drive away. And then Lando Norris was closing in quick as well. 3.5 seconds. He'd already cut the gap in half. And by that math, he was going to get to me before this Grand Prix was over. We come through to 3 laps to go, and now look at the gap. 1.4 seconds. However, there was a train of cars in front of me that was fortunately allowing me to stay within range and even get DRS at times here off the back of the McLaren of Ricciardo. But now, coming to lap 21, approaching the final lap, Max Verstappen already well underway in the final lap. Norris 0.4 of a second behind us. We've had a great race here in P8, and as I say that, we're going to go for a spin there out of the final turn. We've completely looped it. We get it back going immediately. Fortunately, Tsunoda and Schumacher are a ways behind. Schumacher actually with a very solid rebound ends up P11. Max Verstappen wins the race, and well, I've completely choked P8 away. It's still going to be points here in the Haas in Spa, so I can't really complain. Schumacher is only a couple of tenths behind Tsunoda to try and get a point, but I don't think it's going to quite work out in his favor as we head down into the final chicane here for the final time. Lap 22 in Spa. Verstappen continues to stretch out his championship lead after big pressure from Mercedes. As we close in on the summer break, we cross the line. It's going to be P9 here in Spa for the Belgian Grand Prix. Even though we spun there coming to the final lap, I can't complain about that Grand Prix. Just a really good effort overall. Driver of the day, Ricciardo. Let's head to the podium celebrations.
What a great race then, and a magnificent victory here at the Belgian Grand Prix. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Well, there you have it. It was looking like Verstappen and Red Bull as a whole were starting to crumble. However, here he is coming back here post-summer break and stepping up his game again. The whole team has, but now Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes need to go back to the drawing board and try to close that gap back on Verstappen. Verstappen's got 2 Grand Prix right here back-to-back, Belgium as well as Zandvoort, that are home Grand Prix to him. So he's going to be very hard to beat, and he's already won half of them, so we'll see what he can do in the Netherlands in the next episode. Like I said, I accidentally advanced as soon as it got into the race results screen, so we don't actually see those, but I'm going to go into the post-race stuff in the main menu and kind of look at it like that so you can kind of see where everybody finished. I know it's a little bit difficult to see, but Hamilton there ended up P15, so he's down to 3rd in the championship. Leclerc is now the next threat to Max Verstappen, but you can see the gap between them, almost 2 races, so you can see the amount of races we have left. It's going to be a very interesting battle as we continue to make upgrades on this team. This time focusing in on durability, but you can see we're right there with Alpine. McLaren is trying to get with the top 3. It's really getting interesting with this R&D situation, and I'm expecting some changes soon for regulations. But that does it for me. If you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. I'll see you guys in the next one for the Netherlands. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, everybody.